Hello, it's Dr. H here, and today we are going to do a deep dive into your thyroid function. We are going to get you geared up with the information you need to make sure your Hello, it's Dr. H here, and today we are going to be talking about your thyroid function. Your thyroid is in charge of your metabolism, and one of the things I want to make sure each of you are doing, if you have a concern about your thyroid function, I want to make sure you are getting the right tests to ensure your thyroid is operating at its peak performance. And if it's not, be well guided to ensure its function is restored and or supported as is necessary for you and your body. So let's just start with thyroid testing 101. Thyroid testing 101, when you go to have your thyroid tested, the most common test that is performed is something called thyroid stimulating hormone, also known as TSH. TSH is one important number that tells us about your thyroid function, but it is not the whole story. And today we're going to go through a little bit of learning about why that is so. When I test thyroid function, I test at least 5 different numbers so that I can understand how your thyroid is working and if it needs to be supported, and if so, what is the most effective way we can support your thyroid and rev up your metabolism. So get ready for a little stick figure screen sharing. Okay, I hope you all appreciate my lovely little stick figure. So here is the story of your thyroid. Here we have, obviously you, right? And in your brain, we have two areas of your brain that play a really important role in thyroid function. One of them is called your hypothalamus, and the other is called your pituitary. And what happens is your hypothalamus says to your pituitary, hey, pituitary, go tell the thyroid to get to work. It sends a chemical message that tells the thyroid, I'm sorry, that tells the pituitary to tell the thyroid to get to work. So hypothalamus tells the pituitary, tell the thyroid to get to work. And then the pituitary produces the hormone that's called TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. So you can think about this hormone, this TSH hormone, this communication from your brain, specifically your pituitary, to your thyroid as a volume. If your brain wants to tell your thyroid to work harder, it's going to turn up the volume. It's going to yell at your thyroid to work harder. That means TSH will be higher if your thyroid isn't working well enough. And then conversely, if your thyroid is working harder than necessary or appropriate, your brain's going to whisper. It's going to be whispering and encouraging your thyroid to turn down its output. And so with a thyroid that is overactive, you're going to see a low TSH. So again, an underactive thyroid is going to lead to a higher TSH, whereas an overactive thyroid is going to lead to a lower TSH. So that's the first part of the assessment. Now, from our thyroid is going to produce two hormones, but mostly the primary hormone it is going to produce is called T4. This T4 is produced by the thyroid. About 80% of what the thyroid produces is T4, but T4 needs to get turned into T3 because T3 is the active thyroid hormone, and the thyroid only produces 20% T3. So T4 needs to get turned into T3, and that happens in your liver and in your digestive tract and in the cells themselves. And so T4 needs to get turned into T3, and then the total amount of T4 plus T3 gets communicated back to your brain in this feedback loop, and that communication back to your brain lets your brain, if it's functioning well, adjust its message to your thyroid accordingly. So it's a big game here. You can see this lovely feedback loop that is working in our body. So when I'm testing thyroid function, yes, I am testing TSH, but I'm also looking at free T4, which is different than total T4, and free T3, yes, different than total T3. I'm also looking at two different thyroid antibodies because that gives us the sense of if there's some kind of autoimmune condition, autoimmune process happening related to your thyroid function. So now that you are geared up with a little better understanding of how your thyroid works, my hope is that you will be sure if you have a concern about your thyroid function, that it is being properly tested and that you're working with someone who can read the nuances, understand the nuances of your thyroid test results. Because lab normal isn't always optimal. And these numbers tell us a story about you and your health and your body. My commitment is you thriving and inspiring others to do the same. So I hope you take this information and run with it. Make this part of your health dashboard and make sure you're working with someone. I would love to be that person, but there are many others out there who are wonderfully trained and also here to serve you as well. Make sure you're working with one of us who understands the nuances of thyroid function and is able to guide you in producing the health outcomes that matter most to you in your life. Thank you so much.